The New Mexico desert, where its painted mountains hold a quiet wisdom. Under star-bright skies, untouched by any light but their own, we talk softly with good friends, discovering again the deep, steady wonder of God. So begins this entry in our age group's third chapter. Here we are. Where are we going to?
We are going to CO3 and not CO2.
CO2. That is your final destination?
As far as I know.
Okay. Not Albuquerque?
Oh, okay. Well, once we get to CO3, I'm not in charge.
Okay. All right. So here we are, about to take off. No, she is not in our group.
Let's take a picture of everyone at the
All right, so where are we going, Susan?
We are going to Albuquerque.
There you go.
Albuquerque.
Not our gate.
I let him know we were going to see things.
Yes, we are. We're seeing what?
Julie Boone.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm great.
What are you most excited about for this trip? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Santa Fe.
What aspect of Santa Fe? Just the...
Of the desert.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to the desert.
Okay. All right.
I'm looking forward to Ghost Ranch,
Yes.
stargazing.
Me too. Yeah. I
And I'm
am.
looking forward to the food in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Best food in the United States of America.
Is that right? Yeah. So what are you looking forward to? Baz?
I am looking forward to seeing the Milky Way.
The Milky Way.
Yes,
All right. Did you download the app I told you about?
I did not. But Wayne texted me and said that the first night we might see the Milky Way.
Okay.
Probably has to do with whether it's going to be overcast.
Okay. So I really think before we get started with what we did on our trip, it's probably good to talk about who we are and what we're trying to do.
Most of us are getting ready to retire. 1 year, 5 years, whatever. But we are looking at the next chapter of life. So we call ourselves the third chapter.
Our group is made up of people who have been in the ministry for some time and are looking for how we become our best selves in the next several years and whatever that might look like. And I think all of us felt like we wanted to get out of our frames a little bit and see how we could expand for our third chapter.
We have been in that time of accomplishment, that time of acquisition, and we've come to a place of transition in our lives where we're downsizing, we're simplifying, and trying to figure out what does our vocation look like in retirement.
Well, I think that as you grow older in life, you envision the future as a time of contraction, and I'm going to be losing things. I'm going to be ending things. It seems like the world gets smaller when you retire, and that does not have to be the case.
I feel like what we're doing in this age group is allowing us to step back and think of all the things we left behind when we went into ministry, whether it's playing a musical instrument, swimming on a regular basis, whatever it could be, body, mind, soul, and reclaiming that. And in our third chapter of life, really living those things that we had to leave behind.
At some point, we're going to retire from the ministry. And so what does that next chapter look like? And for each one of us, it's something different, which is what I love. Everybody's got something that they want to tap into. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's something that's of interest to them that they've never been able to do.
All of us in the group are most likely in our last appointments before we retire. Some of us, our retirement is more imminent. Others, maybe a few more years down the road. But we're all looking ahead to what is that transition going to look like.
I have to think of how my life can expand. can I learn new things? Can I have new experiences? And I think a group like this, where when we covenant with one another to go with the flow or try something that someone else wants to do, maybe if I'd never thought of it or never would have considered doing it, is a kind of a philosophy for the last part of my life. Am I going to allow myself to try things that I personally wouldn't have chosen? Am I going to enable myself to learn new things?
We've got lots of things we can do. We have a plethora.
The first part of our journey was spent at the Ghost Ranch, where we took in the beauty of the New Mexico desert, learned about the artist Georgia O'Keeffe, spent 2 days in a contemplative astronomy course, and had deep conversations about the wonders of the universe.
I mean, I've known of Georgia O'Keeffe. We've been to New Mexico before, and I didn't really have an interest in her artwork, full transparency. I left there with a whole new appreciation for her artwork and her sense of space. And that's why I got this book. I got this at the Art Museum, A Sense of Place, and it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Because for me, I do think it's one of the reasons I like to travel, is that because new spaces or places expand and allow us to have a spiritual experience.
It was an experience because as we went, we were able to see the landscape, the actual landscape for ourselves in that beautiful ranch, and see the spots where she must have painted, because they would hold up the picture of the actual and hold up her painting, and you could see that it was the same spot.
Seeing on the tour yesterday her painting versus the landscape piece in actuality, and seeing what she chose to paint was fascinating, because she didn't focus on the grandiose, the largesse of the sky. It was a hill by the side of the road that became beautiful to the one just observing the painting.
The gorgeous expanse was it took you into it. And then when you were into it, she brought you to look, look what's right in front of you. And so we miss it. We miss what's right in front of us so often.
Her artwork contains a sense of mindfulness I never knew about. But isn't that what happens in life when we were even when we went on that walk? I mean, we're going to see the big picture, and we're not necessarily going to see something that is close to us, because we overlook it. We overlook so much. But she intentionally, it seems, throughout her life, stayed there. I love it that she stayed there and wanted to become more intentional about finding those things that people would overlook.
She started looking at things in a way that made you and made others stop and think. She didn't make the things that other people would focus on and make central the subject of her work. And I think that's kind of, part of the witness of Jesus, is that there were things that people would say, this is so obvious, this is what you should be counting, and this is where you should be putting your time and energy. And he's eating with Zacchaeus, he's eating with tax collectors and sinners, as opposed to that thing which is obvious.
Part of the fascinating thing about O'Keeffe now for me is how productive she was into her 90s. She was still herself. She was still, and I did not realize until I watched that little film, that she had macular degeneration. She was an artist, a visual artist who lost her eyesight, and she was still creating things. You couldn't tell necessarily from her work that she only had peripheral vision towards the end. She was still herself. And I think she's an amazing role model in that way.
What I was really impressed with was how the two major things that we did at the ranch went so well together. I mean, we started with Georgia O'Keeffe of how she took, all of this huge landscape of the desert and then focused down on the detail. And then we went straight from that to the astronomy course, where it's now not just the landscape of the desert, it's the whole universe. And so how do we then condense that down in a way that makes sense to us, that we can make faith out of, that we can talk about theologically, and I loved the conversations that we had around that. Those were precious to me.
Really enjoyed that we had a guide who was helping us and preparing us for what we were going to be seeing. And then when we were actually able to see it and hear the detail of how small our planet really is. And we say it's a small world, but you don't really get the picture of that until you are looking at Andromeda.
I mean, just the mystery of God, and how when we first got to the classroom and they said, the Milky Way is showing itself tonight. They were so excited, and they kept putting it that way. The Milky Way is showing itself. And it was like we were going to get to have this amazing experience of God showing God's self through the Milky Way. Because, it's not always readily seen or easily seen. It's always there, but not readily seen. And to hear them so excited about it. And Beth, her bucket list item was to see the Milky Way. And there it was in its grandeur, the whole night, showing itself.
That caught me off guard too. I mean, it was like that Milky Way. That was just the majesty of God, that it was like, well, anything's possible, right? I mean, here we are. And then we lay down on the bench, and it was expansive. I've seen the night sky before. I've taken astronomy classes, but not in this way, because I love the idea that it was contemplative.
I'm a big science fiction fan, so I don't really contemplate the universe as much as I enjoy thinking about it and looking at documentaries about it and all of that sort of thing. But that was on my bucket list, to see the Milky Way, and I did, and it started all sorts of thoughts for me that came from my biblical studies background. I often like to imagine what this environment, or any environment I'm in, would be like if nothing human made was in the landscape at all. If it was as it was in ancient times, what would it be like? And so being out in the desert under the night sky with the Milky Way as bright as it was kind of brought up those thoughts for me, because when I think about the Old Testament and Old Testament people, I have to imagine what was the natural world like for them. And that was a moment of being able to put myself in that kind of situation.
The second leg of our New Mexico adventure took us to Santa Fe, where we visited the Loretta Chapel, home of the Miracle Staircase, toured a remarkable nonprofit animal shelter, had lunch with author Dave Wood to discuss the ins and outs of writing and publishing, continued our sampling of that famous Santa Fe cuisine, and spent an afternoon exploring the immersive art installation Meow Wolf, which was an experience that our group had some very mixed opinions.
Underwhelmed
Underwhelmed.
with Meow Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
There were too many things to see, too many places to look, but that's what made it fun.
Yeah, but what did I do to your brain?
I got a little tired,
Okay.
got a little overstimulated.
Okay. So how about you, Susan? Look back here. Tell us about Meow Wolf.
Meow Wolf was exciting. Seemed like it was like an escape room. It was not. And but we did it.
Yeah.
I like to solve the solution,
Yeah.
and there was no solution. It was, you were given the impression when you began that something was discoverable, and it didn't feel as though it was really discoverable. You kept checking in with us saying, what do we know?
Yeah.
And we didn't know very much. And it was, and what we knew was somewhat obscure.
Yeah.
So
So how is that like the first explorers of anything, from new science to new territories, and know it?
yeah, you don't know what you have. You
Yeah.
don't know what exactly you're trying to experience. And
So is that not a comfortable space for you?
no, I think that if I'd never done escape rooms, it probably would have been more interesting. But because I'd done escape rooms and kind of seen the elegance of an escape room, that probably clouded my understanding of this art installation.
I think once I figured out that we were supposed to find 19 places,
Yes.
and the little psychic button was,
So that
was
gave us
always looking
direction.
for it.
Yeah.
Once I realized that, I didn't look for any more clues. I didn't think, what was the little fellow we were supposed to find in the pickle jar? I didn't look for anything else.
Oh,
I just said
Gary, happy
I-
Gary.
the thing for me became got to find all.
So is there something about having to know the answer that rather than living in, like, what questions am I supposed to be discovering here? What are the really important questions to be asking?
Were there answers though? Were there any answers?
I
there?
didn't love the app.
Oh yeah.
I think that it would have been a different experience without the app.
And I didn't use the app.
Right.
I didn't use the app either.
Yeah.
Didn't use it.
And so I was using the app, and I had just discovered that the music of the stars. I hear music from outer space, and I did the work to get that, and then I opened the app, and the answer was already there.
So performance art, what is it supposed to do
I think
to
it's
us?
supposed to engage. I think it's supposed to help you create better questions.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to intrigue. And I think it certainly did all of those things. I'm not a visual artist.
Well, a lot of performance art is created to disturb and to anger,
Well, and to push the limits of acceptability.
right?
And so excellent modern art pushes what is acceptable.
Right. And leads us to a new place,
Correct.
a new
A
understanding.
new portal
Right.
to what is next.
On the edge of every cultural change, there's usually a change and shift in the art that happens before it, that everybody goes crazy except the church. I mean, especially the church,
Especially the church.
about the new art that's happening.
Right.
So these,
It's like that Picasso that he frames with a piece of rope.
Mhm.
And that was unacceptable.
Mhm.
And it's done precisely because it's unacceptable.
yeah,
The other thing that
George O'Keefe.
a place like that does is it's not reproducible. You wouldn't take someone there to have the same experience as someone has already had.
because every experience, every time is different.
Every time is, even if they didn't change the exhibit, every time would be different.
So, friends, we turn our faces toward 2026 and the untraveled miles it will offer. New ground waits beneath our boots. Old paths ask to be walked again. And the world still keeps its share of mysteries for us to puzzle out. We will meet these things as we always have, together, sharing the table, the laughter, and the slow, good work of discovering what lies just beyond the next horizon.
What makes this ACE group special is that some of us have been together for the last 25 years. Some of us are brand new to ACE or to this configuration. And we all, at some point or another, have said to each other, I sure would love to spend some time with you. I sure would like to work with you, or play with you in some fun
So
way.
is friendship.
Yeah, it is. It's friendship. It's deep friendship, but also newer friendship. And in our trip to St. Simon's, when we really got to bond more together and begin to laugh together and on occasion cry together, it became a group that is going to be fun to move forward with.